Okay, so switching gears once again. Who read the newsletter from a couple of days ago? Couple of people? All right, well then this story I'm about to tell will be new to you. There was a short story in there, and it was, I will be honest, it was Brooke, our creative services partner, who offered it, so I don't know what the origin of that story is, but she wrote about how there was a small town locksmith who had a garden gate at the edge of his property that hadn't been opened in years. He was told it could never be open, and so he told everyone who asked that it was rusted shut and impossible to move. So people took him at his word and never even attempted to open it, himself included. Then one day, a child too young to have heard the old story wandered up and pushed. And guess what? The gate opened easily. It had never been stuck, just assumed closed for so long that no one, including the locksmith, ever thought to try. Okay? This brought me, in a very circuitous way, to a Kafka story, a story within a story, called Before the Law, which is in his novel, The Trial. And the very long and short of it is that there is the man who stands before this open gate of the law, and he wants to cross through, but the gatekeeper tells him, you can't. And his entire life, this old man tries to convince, tries to bribe, argues with the gatekeeper to be let in, and the guy's like, nope, you can't. And then at the end of his life, the guy says, come on, like, what is the deal? And the gatekeeper says, well, this gate was actually here for you all along, but now you've missed your chance, and closes the gate. And so again, there's an assumption there, or a belief that, he can't do something, lives with that belief his entire life, only to realize all he had to do was just walk through, right? And so the question that comes up because of those two stories is, what doors of life are we keeping closed because of our assumptions, our beliefs, and our perspective? And the reason that these came into my purview was because a few weeks ago, I was doing my morning practice, which included being on Insight Timer for a while, and the quote of the day came up, and the quote of the day was, becoming is better than being. And I'm like, what? If I had seen that about a year ago, I would have been like, yeah, 100%. But there are reasons why. There's a big reason why now I'm like, I don't know about that. Anyway, this quote is by Carol S. Dweck, who is an American psychologist at Stanford University, and she is known for her research and work on fixed mindset versus growth mindset. And so it took me back to our affirmation, I live every aspect of life with openness, curiosity, and wonder. So I opened up to, what is this quote doing for me? What is this response that I am having to this statement? And I thought, I need to sit with it for a bit. So I just let it go, for a couple of weeks, and then this newsletter came out, and then the Kafka story, and so I thought, okay, I got to find out who this, Carol Dweck person is, because I didn't know about her until I looked her up this morning. And so, there's all of this work that she has done on fixed and growth mindset. And so the three main things about the fixed mindset are that there is a belief that intelligence, talent, core skills are fixed and cannot be changed. So you are born as smart as you're ever going to be with the talents that you have and the skills that sort of are inherent to you, and nothing can be expanded upon. There is a fear of failure, so often people don't even try. And these are the kind of people who will reject feedback and feel threatened by others' success. Now, there's the growth mindset. And with the growth mindset, there is a belief that intelligence, skills, and talent can be improved upon through commitment and practice. Does that sound familiar to anybody here? Isn't that what we are endeavoring to do with tuning into the love that we are, celebrating the love that we are, experiencing and expressing more as the love that we are through all of the different ways, coming together on a Sunday, and then doing whatever we do in between Sundays to just really, really embody and be the love that we are? Commitment and practice, right? The second thing is that those people see failure as an opportunity to learn and grow, right? I remember when I was in practitioner studies many years ago at this point, that one of my favorite books was Thomas More's Care of the Soul. And I'm sure I've mentioned this before at least once. And in that book, there is a part where he writes about failure. And what he said about failure completely, was just like a 180 for me, a massive aha right in that moment. And I have never seen failure the same way again. Because what happened for me was I saw, and I'm paraphrasing here, he said something along the lines of, failure is not who I am, it's an element of the work I do. So it's just part of the process, right? Failure doesn't mean that, that's it, the end, there is no point in even trying again. What it means is, okay, so that didn't work out maybe the way we had anticipated or would have preferred, but if infinite possibilities, then there are infinite possibilities and experiences to have, right? So we try again. And then the third thing is that the individual with a growth mindset welcomes feedback in order to grow and to learn. And so this brought another question up. What possibilities are we closing ourselves off from because of a fixed mindset? Even for those of us who are continually opening up to a greater expression of being, do we hold beliefs that are super ingrained that we're not willing to give up or question? Are there thoughts that we think? Are there stories that we tell? Are there experiences that we've had that we keep on having and we're just like, well, that's just the way it is? Anyone here have that kind of experience? Or I wasn't seeing laughing? Okay, good. People aren't raising their hands, but I see laughing, right? So this is an invitation to be open, to be curious, to wonder, to let go of statements like, that's just the way I am, or it's gonna be one of those days, right? Because every single moment is a brand new opportunity to heal, to grow, to express, to embody that incredible, amazing power, presence, and profundity that we are at our core. That same power that is every single leaf on every single tree. This beautiful cinnamon plant, this Ceylon cinnamon plant right here that, I don't know, probably needs to grow for a few hundred years before we can harvest it and make some tea or something. But every single leaf, every single blade of grass, every single pebble, every ocean and every drop, every ocean in every drop, all of that is what we are trying to embody. That is what we are trying to open up to. And if we keep thinking that, this is the belief that I have, these are the thoughts that I think, these are the choices I'm going to continue to make, what are we doing? We're closing ourselves off from all of that, all of those infinite possibilities. So the title of my talk today is, A Locked Gate is an Open Door. If we go back to those two stories, if someone had gone, okay, I hear what you're saying, but let me just try, then maybe everybody would have had an opportunity to go through sooner. But the thing is, everybody had the opportunity. They just chose not to because they chose to believe what they were told. They made an assumption and they stuck with it, and that was it. They were never curious enough to wonder and go and test the gate for themselves. And then even though in that Kafka story, the guy is constantly arguing and bartering and making a case for why he should be able to go through that gate, does he ever actually try to go through the gate? No. He's just told that, nope, you can't go. And so he's like, well, okay, I'm just going to sit here and suffer, and I'm going to argue with you and make my case for why I should be able to go, but I'm not actually going to bother to try, right? Fixed mindset. But if you are here, then I venture that you have a growth mindset. I venture that you are open and curious enough to really, really take a look at your thoughts, your beliefs, your stories, all of the perspectives, all of the everything that has gotten you to where you are now, to see if, maybe is there a different way of approaching life going forward? Is there a way that I can feel better? Is there a way I can feel more connected? Is there a way that I can feel more attuned to the love that I truly am? And so here's the kicker. I actually looked up the word becoming in the dictionary just for fun, just to see what it said. And first, there was an adjective, and I'm like, well, this is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the verb. And so it took me to the word become. Here's the definition of the Oxford English Dictionary version. Become, to start to be something. Okay? So going back to Carolyn Dweck's quote, becoming is better than being, I'm like, oh, I don't know. And the huge reason for me is because last year I discovered the teachings of Rupert Spira. And the one book that I have so far is The Heart of Prayer, this beautiful little book that I can just hold in my hands, and I already feel the beauty and the presence in this book. So in this book he says, we cannot become what we already are through effort, practice, or discipline, nor can we cease being what we eternally are through negligence or error. So what is he saying here? You don't need to try, you don't need to become anything because you already are. And no matter what you do, no matter what you think, no matter what you say, no matter what you experience, no matter what ideas, opinions, assumptions, diagnoses come at you, you remain who you are, no ifs, ands, or buts, right? So you are love, you are source, you are spirit, you are God, you are infinite creativity and intelligence. You are all of that, no matter what your life feels like in the moment. He goes on to say, we overlook ourselves and we remember ourselves. We become lost in the content of experience, maybe a little bit of what Glenn was talking about, and then we return to and recognize ourselves. So when we come together in community at Celebrate, at Elevate, at SoJazz, the Healing Circle, all the other ways we come together in community here at VTC, all the other ways we come together in community beyond VTC, we're not trying to become something that we aren't. We are trying to more fully embody that which we are, no matter what. So I go back to that quote by Carolyn Dweck, where she says that becoming is better than being. And so I'm turning it into a question. Is becoming better than being? Maybe. Yes. No. It kind of depends on your perspective and what the referent is that you're coming from, right? She's a psychologist, and the work that she does, it totally makes sense with what she's saying. In the end, though, what I'm offering is that through openness, curiosity, and wonder, we allow ourselves the gift of being more of the love we already are, which, depending on your perspective, could be interpreted as a type of becoming. Thank you, and so it is.